I'll just let you know that my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and the CEO of American Business Systems. This is our 26th anniversary. We started this back in 1994, so we've been doing this a while, and we do these webinars every Wednesday and have for the last at least 10 or 12 years. So there's lots and lots of history that you can go back and see this on our YouTube channel. I'll tell you more about that towards the end of the webinar there. I am a best-selling author. You'll see some of my books out there on Amazon.com and in your local bookstores, some of them. How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, The New Thriving Medical Practice. I co-wrote that with Dr. Vicki Ratner, and Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. So if you want to just find out a little bit more about me and prove that I'm for real, you can go read a little bit more about those books on Amazon. All right. I'm also a member of the editorial board of BC Advantage magazine. That stands for Billing and Coding Advantage. Anybody that's in the medical billing coding field subscribes to this magazine. It's still a print magazine that's mailed every month, and there's about 40,000 subscribers to it. I'm also an author. I have a lot of articles that show up in that magazine on a regular basis as well. I'm also co-founder of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Now, if you're brand new to these webinars, you're probably wondering, what does that mean and why? What does that relate to this particular business? Well, we teach people how to use our cloud-based medical billing system. That is, from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection on any device, Windows, Mac, Chrome, doesn't matter the platform, you can access our medical billing system that was written specifically for a web cloud-based interface. And you can see that on laptops, desktops, tablets, and iPhones, and all kinds of any kind of phone that's connected to the internet. The great thing about it is you can run this business from anywhere in the world. And in addition to medical billing, we have 6 other services that you can offer to your clients. Again, all optional, but they come in the package that we sell as what's called a license. It's kind of like a franchise, but it's a licensing situation. So we license all of these services, all of our cloud-based system. We license that to you for a one-time, lifetime licensing fee. And you can find out more about that on our website. I don't do a lot of selling on these webinars, as you'll see, but there's the website at the bottom of the screen on every slide, and you can go there and read more about it. So once you've gone through our training, we certify you as a medical revenue manager. Now, that's much more than just a medical biller. You're actually managing the revenue, every aspect of the revenue for the doctor through our cloud-based system and all the other services that you just saw on the screen there. The manager, as I just mentioned earlier. Now, our training is all done virtually, as you can imagine, in today's world especially. We started this back at the end of last year before we knew there was going to be a pandemic, and we start doing these live with a live instructor. You can see a little illustration there of one of our instructors up in the upper right-hand corner of that screen. So we're showing you our licensee support site there, and she's able to see you. You can see her, you can talk to her, and it's all one-on-one with you based on your own schedule. You can get started within about, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours after you finalize your paperwork and get your funding in, and then your training can begin. There's 8 modules, each about an hour to an hour and a half, and you can get through all those, well, easily in less than 30 days. A lot of times people get through that in a couple of weeks. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end. Now let's get into our interviews with our successful medical billing company owners. Folks, we've been doing this, as I said, for 26 years, so there's a lot of history here. And as people get their business started, they get a few clients, we will call them up and say, hey, we wanted to see if you wanted to do a little interview with us. And most of them are willing to do that because they want to share their success with other people. This is such a huge market, folks, that there's no way that you could saturate it, because you literally can make a 6-figure income with a handful of clients. I mean, literally 4 or 5 clients could make you a 6-figure income. So you don't need a whole lot. And if you check on the number of medical providers, doctors and clinics and ambulance services and all kinds of medical providers in your area, you'll see there are literally thousands. And we have people, of course, from coast to coast that have signed up with us over the years. And some of these people, like I said, have volunteered to do these interviews, these live interviews with me. So I thought we would start with a couple that's up in New York. You would love this couple if you could know them personally. I've visited with my wife up there in New York in their offices, and it's just a tremendous business that they've built over the years. They had a business, a janitorial business, and he said they never made any money at it until they started this business. They never did get a return on their investment. And once they started this one, they got the return on their investment in about 6 months. So anyway, I'll let you hear from Benny.
Did not have any medical billing experience prior to it. So this was something that was totally new for us. And quite frankly, we're very happy that we did make that choice. And it took us 3 full months to get our first account. Um, Once we did get that account, obviously getting our feet wet did give us the opportunity to understand the business a little bit more. And I'd say about we got the second account probably 4 months after that. So within 7 months, we got two accounts. But more importantly, it took us 8 full months to have our initial investment paid for. We decided to choose ABS. Doing our due diligence, we realized that ABS gave us a lot of different opportunities to generate revenue. And being in New York being quite a unique type of market, we weren't sure which direction our business was going to take off in, whether it's going to be the medical billing, profit recovery, patient payment plan. So we just liked the fact, number one, that we had options of which way we were going to go, and more importantly, we weren't committed to have to particularly be just involved in one area. We were able to get our first client by utilizing a sales rep, but I wouldn't just solely focus on one particular way of getting your accounts. In my particular situation, a sales rep who happened to be a pharmaceutical rep was able to sort of get through the gatekeeper and given the opportunity to explain to them some of our services. What worked for me was having a sales rep and obviously getting that first account, first and second account, understanding it and utilizing and then expanding on that through with the referral basis. But I encourage anyone who's just starting, because every territory might be unique, you want to utilize every opportunity you have to utilize all of ABS's advertising techniques. You just don't know what's going to work, and I think the idea is to come at it from all different angles and find out what works for you, what's your niche in your market, and take it from there. We currently have 8 accounts that we're servicing. Some accounts are bigger than others. Some accounts have more than one doctor in them. But nevertheless, we are servicing 8 accounts. We have 5 full-time employees, 2 part-time employees, as well as me and my wife. Looking back now, we realize we are very fortunate to be in this situation. And after making this decision to become an ABS licensee, we become very financially, we become very comfortable. Number one, without the support from ABS, we wouldn't be here. Like I said before, we had absolutely no prior experience in the billing, in understanding medical billing. So it was very important that we had someone assist us, at least for the first 2-3 accounts, to get us up on our feet. Without support from ABS, we're not here 3.5 years later, and obviously I'm not here running a business on a full-time basis without it. My life, boy, in the last 3.5 years, my life has changed. Looking back now, I felt like it wasn't that I didn't have the energy or desire. I just felt like I wasn't in the right direction, or I wasn't motivated and focused in on a particular direction. Once we came across the ABS and once we discovered medical billing was going to be what we were going to do going for the future, I was able to take all my energy and direct it into this direction. 3.5 years ago, we were all over the place, not understanding, not knowing which direction we wanted to go. And this was quite a blessing for us, for me, my wife, and obviously our 4 children. I encourage anyone who has an interest in potentially being a licensee of ABS to do their due diligence We understand times are a little bit difficult now. No one can afford to make a mistake, but at some point you got to realize, can you afford not to do something like this? Um, like I said, looking back now, I realize that I was at the same situation where you guys are right now, and I was skeptic. I was unsure. I think that's probably one of the reasons that we're being videotaped here today, to realize that it can happen. If it happened to me, it could sure as well happen to anyone else. People always ask me, is this something, if I had to do it all over again, would I do it? And the answer to that is 100% yes. Because after all, how many businesses can you actually say after 8 months that you're able to recoup your initial investment? I'm not the type of person that everything I touch happens to work. The other business we had, boy, was 4 years, and um, after 4 years, we still weren't able to recoup that investment. To answer that question, I would say 100% yes.
All right, so what he just said was that they had been in that other business, meaning that janitorial business that I told you they were in. They were in that for 4 years. Now, the rest of this, I think, is just pictures of him and his staff. Yeah, I think I just stuck those here at the end of the interview. Just there's one of his people actually doing, as you can see, they use two monitors. We always encourage people to do that because on one monitor you can see what the doctor's office sends you, and then on the other monitor you could actually be putting the data into our system. Benny doesn't really do a lot of the work. Him and his wife Patricia, they really don't do a lot. I mean, as far as the actual data input, they don't do much of that now. They still have a staff. Somebody was asking how long they'd been in business. I don't actually know the year that they started, but this has been several years. You heard him say that the interview was done about 3.5 years after they started the business. But they still have a staff. I think they've actually grown the staff. They have more than 8 clients now, and they're still booming. All these years later. So anyway, thanks. I see a lot of little questions here about that. Do they have a staff today? Yeah, I just answered that. And let's see if there's some other comments in here. Here we go. Okay. Anyway, Carlos, thank you. I hope I answered your questions there. All right. Well, then let's get going back here to another interview. Let me see if I can find my slides here, and I will show you the next slide, which is Benjamin and Ari. Let's see, is that showing there? Yeah. Okay, so Benjamin and Ari are up in the New Jersey area, somewhere in the general vicinity. I mean, literally not that far away from Benny. And it's amazing because, again, there are so many doctors and other medical providers in the Northeast area there that you could never handle them all. At some point, now I haven't talked to Benjamin in a while, a couple of years at least, but I know that at one time they had like 35 employees, 3 offices up there in the New Jersey area, and over 100 doctors that they were doing billing for. So this will be an interesting one. I think you'll like this one as well. So let me get it going here.
My background is in law. I graduated from law school, Seattle, Washington, and proceeded to a legal career. Then I switched to mergers and acquisitions, and right shortly after, I came across medical billing. When I got into this business of medical billing, I had no idea of what medical billing is about. I had no idea about healthcare industry. I've never came across before, and no medical professionals ever been part of my life, so that was a totally new area for me. As part of my background, as I said, I worked for a law firm as a contract attorney. We had to do extensive due diligence on our prospective clients and or on mergers and acquisitions candidates. And when I was approached by my partner to go into medical billing, we had to find a solid, reputable company that provides with not only training but most important support after the training. And it was an extensive research that we've done, and we came up with a couple of names, and after filtering these names we came up with only one, and that was American Business Systems. And we've learned a lot about Patrick, the founder of the company, who changed our perspective, the vision, the view of the world, and the mental impression of all, for which we still always will be thankful to him. ABS gives you a toolbox, and when you start opening that toolbox, you see a lot of different tools. It's very important to sort which tool when should be used. And one of the main tools is marketing. Strong, tremendous support, tremendous impression made on doctors, the actual brochures that were given to us by ABS as part of the package. Beautiful. It shows that you are a true professional, that those are professionally made, glossy, beautiful, put together, very nice wording, and very concise, and doctors love them. And then one of the days we got a call from a doctor who had that brochure, that pamphlet, on his desk. Was that an incident or accident? We don't know. But that's how we got our first doctor. It took us about 1 month, and we were so happy as if we won $1 million lottery. And after that, it just started like a snowball. This doctor was so impressed with our work. He started referring other doctors, and slowly but surely we got to a point now, 3-4 months after the training, we are at about 15-16 doctors. From what we have as of today, our projected revenue is about $250,000 a year, and it's growing. We're looking to sign up about 5 more large practices this week, and we have appointments set. We just need to go and sign them up. How many claims a month? We process about 10,000 claims a month on average. And again, it's growing, and we add more doctors, more practices. As I mentioned earlier, we have about 15-16 doctors, providers, right?
That's right.
At this point, and the specialties range from physical therapy, general practitioner, oncologist, nephrologist, dermatologist, OBGYN, what else? Pediatricians, food surgeons, podiatrists. Wide range, very wide range. But most of them come through referrals, but a significant portion of our clients come through typical marketing that was given to us at the training. So we still continue, even though we are at a level where one would be probably satisfied and stuff, we still continue that marketing campaign, and we plan to grow to see ourselves in a year from now to 150 doctors. We have a goal of adding at least 5 doctors a month. With that in mind, an agreement that we created with our sales reps has implemented in it, has a clause that they must bring 3 new doctors a year in order to stay current and active as salespeople with us. So we have about 10 people, 3, that's 30 to 50 doctors a year additional. Support from ABS that we received during our first month was tremendous. And it was a phone support, it was email support. Josh and other people in the office, Patrick himself called us, and every time we wanted to reach him, the CEO of the company all of a sudden is on the phone, ready to answer any and all questions. Doesn't happen every day in every company, and we all know that. So that was very important to us, that even after the training, they still care about you. They don't forget you. They still continue working with you and trying to help you to succeed. And if you feel that they work with you as if this is their own success. Your success is their success, and on the path to your success, it
Making
plays
webinars every month,
every week actually.
every week, every month. The webinars, which one learn how to do what's going on is now.
Constantly implementing new things, new softwares, new technology, new contracts, new JVs, joint ventures with new companies, just enhancing your ability to be most efficient, most competitive billing company out there. As of today, we have EMR that we can offer to our doctors. That's a huge thing.
I wanted to just jump in here. They were talking about our webinars that we do for licensees. Once you become a licensee, that is, once you've paid your license fee and gone through our training and are certified, then you can attend our webinars that we do for licensees. They're actually not monthly, they're not weekly, they're kind of in between. About every other week, we'll do a webinar that's specifically for our licensees. Those webinars are, again, live. You can ask questions. They're on different topics, of course, so we're continually updating our licensees and training them on new products and services, and of course, all the changes that happen in this field. That is all, of course, included in your license fee. There are no extra fees for that ongoing training. I just wanted to point that
We
out.
have doctors coming here only because of the EMR. And once they're here for EMR, that's a billing, that's collections, you get everything. It's just unbelievably supportive. This is the point where we actually, without extra effort, get phone calls from doctors. And doctors call us and say, you know what, I want to have an appointment with you. Doctors call us. We couldn't even dream about that 4 months ago. To me, it changed life drastically. This business gives you stability. It defines your lifestyle. It brings the dream that you had back to this life. And you actually realize that you can live like a human being, a normal person, and enjoy your life to the fullest.
Before, I didn't know nothing about the billing. I thought that's the billing doing some doctor's assistants or doctor by itself. Now, after when I went to training to ABS licenses, I had like 20% of knowledge, that to maybe 40% knowledge how to going on with the doctors and how do they billing. And now this is my life, what I'm love it, what I'm doing, and I think in the future it's gonna help a lot. As long as we're gonna make a lot of money, this is very important.
Okay, I suppose you could tell from their accent that uh, uh, Benjamin and Ari are from Russia. They came over here, 15 years ago or so. Didn't even speak English at the time. They both had to learn English. And then, as you heard, let me turn on my webcam here, I guess, to make it a little bit more live. And so, as you heard, Benjamin, of course, went to law school and got his degree in law. And then Ari actually started a gold and silver and jewelry business, diamonds and jewelry and gold and silver, that type of thing. And they wanted to get into something that had more steady income and that they thought had some real potential. And that's why they looked into this business. They actually tried to buy an existing billing company up there in the New York area, but somebody else outbid them. So they looked at one another, said, what are we going to do? And Benjamin said, hey, I can research this on the internet and find somebody that will teach us how to do this business. And that's how they found out about us. Okay. Well, all right. I don't see any real specific questions in here that are coming through. Somebody asked about if we did annual events with other owners. No, but we do something even better than that. Let me show you this. If I can get to the right tab here, I'm going to show you our Facebook page. Yeah, here's how we let licensees talk with one another. Let's see, is that this one here? Yeah. Okay, so you're looking live here at our Facebook page. Now, this is only for our licensees. You can't get in this unless you join as a licensee, go through our training, get certified, etc. As you can see, there's about 135 members that are on the Facebook page here. It's all optional, of course, but if I start scrolling down, you'll see that there are things posted on a regular basis, including some things like this. Anyway, there's lots and lots of discussion that goes on here. So if you want to actually be a part of a nationwide group, in fact, folks, we are the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies, then you'll want to be a part of ABS, because as you can see, we have all sorts of things. This is all specifically for and from our licensees. So if you want to start a dialogue, you can. On any question that you ask, you'll get a dozen answers at least. It's just a wonderful place. And of course, as new licensees sign up with us and go through the training and get certified, they are also a part of this, or can join it if they want to. Again, it's your business, so you can do anything you want or don't want to do. But look, I'm continuing to scroll here because it just goes on and on and on. And we've only had it up less than a year. So this is one of the places that you can interface with other licensees without having to get on a plane, go and stay in a hotel, and not have to wear masks, you know, like you would right now if we did have those kinds of general meetings for you know, our licensees. So that's how we keep you in touch with what's going on there. All right, let's see if I can stop that for now. Okay. All right. Well, I'll show you a couple of other sites here that I want you to be aware of here as we go along too, including our licensee support site. You'll be amazed at how much is out there. That's all available to our licensees as well. Again, with no extra charges, no monthly fees, no annual fees. Folks, it's truly a one-time lifetime fee that you pay to be involved and get certified and get this business up and running. So it's kind of like a franchise, but there's no territories. And of course, there's no ongoing royalties of any kind either. All right, let's see. I have another clip here I think you might be interested in as well. Now, some of these you may have actually seen, but remember, these are just reduced versions of all of these. So it's just a real short version of these interviews. But here's one with Brett Pagnotta. Let's see if I can show him. He's out in Florida. And so I think you'll find it a very interesting interview with Brett as well. Didn't know anything about this business, and he has a lot of good stuff to say, as you'll see. So this is Brent Pagnotta. He is out in Florida. And what was your background? What did you do before you got into this?
My background was in advertising. It was just commercial advertising of that nature.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the reasons I got into this business, I wanted to do something I thought I wouldn't be late. That would work through any type of economy. And it's been very good for me so far.
And how did you run across this?
In my own business, one thing I did was collections for my large accounts that owed really thousands and thousands of dollars. And I realized, and I knew that we paid a lot of money to collection agencies to collect our money, maybe 40, 50 cents on the dollar. So I thought of doing collections, and I thought of the medical field because I think people are always sick, especially in Florida. You know, every retiree in America seems to come here.
Right.
So I was doing internet searches, and that's how I came across ABS. It was that simple, and I saw the website and I liked it, and so I started investigating it, and I called everyone I could get my hands on.
Yeah, so you talked to some of our other licensees then.
I had a whole questionnaire laid out and I went through each one with all the licensees. I guess it was late January when I first discovered, January of this year, that I discovered ABS.
Now, let me just point out that he just mentioned that he had called some other licensees. Folks, if you ask your ABS business development representative here at the office, the person who sent you the email for this webinar, they can give you what we call an owner's list. And again, I'll cover that here towards the end, but it'll be a list of other licensees all across the country. I think there's a dozen or so on there at least. We rotate through those just so people don't get too many calls, but you can call those people and ask them anything you want, of course, directly.
And then I contacted you all, and then I started calling all the contacts, and I made the decision probably within a 6-week period. I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks until I really got out into the marketplace. The weeks went very quickly just with the setup. And then in training, they give you, what do you do week 1 to week 5?
Right.
And I really started what I should do I mean, with the setup I did it, I picked, you can customize it for yourself. And the training was very good. My only regret is that I didn't shut up more and listen, because I will tell you, the trainer Bonnie probably remembers me well because I asked more questions because I was very concerned. I was making this investment. I wanted it to be good, and so I was very serious and just dead set on getting everything I could out of it. The software, the iClaim software that we're using. It's very simple to use, and I'm not a generation that is, computer literate. I have to really slowly learn things.
Well, that's why you've got a partner who's, sharp on that kind of stuff.
That's right. And
and there he is behind you.
iClaim's a good product. It's easy to learn. It's a simple software.
I can even tell talking to you today, Brent, that you're a lot more relaxed and laid back than you were during that week of training. You were pretty intense.
I'm a very intense person. I was nervous. I had invested this money,
Sure.
and I wanted to make sure I was getting every cent out of it. And I will tell you, I was scared. And people, they react certain ways to certain things. So I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. So I was, my hackles were up.
Yeah.
Now it really works. There's a real beauty to it. But my first client, I got what was not credentialed or set up with any insurance company.
Oh.
He was all cash, and he wanted to start going to doing more urgent care type things instead of cosmetic surgery. He came from an emergency hospital background, so I didn't know anything about. I barely knew what a super bill was, and I knew I didn't have the ability to put one together. So I called. We have CodeWrite, and so I used that product with him. And it's really worked out well. And tomorrow we're presenting the final super bill to him with everything completed. And he's thrilled to death.
Can you give us a feel for how you got that client? How'd you run across that one?
Within a period of, I guess, 4 weeks, I got my first call. I will tell you, and I keep my numbers. I have had 9 legitimate calls from my internet advertising. I'll get doctors to call and say, I don't know anything about medical billing and I want to do medical billing, or I'm looking for a medical biller, or my medical biller just walked out. And so that I got my first call that way. And I went in and my knees were shaking and I thought, I almost didn't go. I was amazed at how frightened I was because I hadn't worked with it enough to know what I was talking about. And I didn't want to look foolish, but I knew I had to do it. But anyway, I walked in, very nice guy. And he told me what he's looking for, and I just said what Bonnie told me to say, yes, yes, yes. And if you don't know, say, let me get back to you on it. Took lots of notes and followed it that way. I drove Casey crazy with my first few proposals. Now I can do them like that.
Yeah.
And I don't have that many out, but I had 9 legitimate calls, and I closed 4 of those clients. And right now, that's all I can handle. I can't handle any more business right now. It wouldn't be fair to them. I referred actually a potential client out to another billing company that I know down in this area just this week.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting. There are so many doctors out there that are looking for help for medical billing, and they are in bad shape. And at first I thought, well, they have their own. I go to my doctor. They have a beautiful system. The people who work there for years. They do it in their sleep. They don't need me.
Right.
Because the first place you go is your own doctor.
Sure.
But then there's this whole other group, and they're not well managed inside. Doctors are not good business managers. I have a cosmetic surgeon, and he specializes in liposuction. But it's slowed down now, and he's not getting the cash customers he was getting before.
Oh.
And so he wants to go more into that's why he wants to go on, get set up with insurance companies. And then I have a physical therapist. So he's very easy. It's just kind of, he knows about billing. I pick up his super bills once a week, put them in, and that's that.
Okay, I'm going to pause here, folks, because I know that's a lot to absorb. I hope you caught from what Brett was saying there that he actually got his first client within about the first 4 weeks. He had 9 calls from doctors from his website advertising, and I think he said 4 of those he had signed up already. So anyway, when people ask that question, how long does it take to get a client? That depends on whether you're full-time or part-time, of course. And it also depends on whether you're following our system or not, because folks, we teach about a dozen different ways to go out and market this to doctors. But sometimes people who have owned their own business or been in sales, they're sales people, they go out and try things that just doesn't work in this industry. Believe me, after 26 years, we know what works and what doesn't work. And we keep on top of that. All of our training is always up to date. For example, during this whole COVID thing that we're going through right now, this pandemic, there are different ways that you have to market, but it works. I've done interviews with several people here in the last few weeks that have all gone out after getting through with their training, say at the end of last year. They've gone out the first of this year and they've actually signed up doctors during the pandemic. So there are ways to do it. You just have to know the secrets that we've learned over the past few years. So anyway, I know that's a lot to absorb, but as you can see, Brett's a real sincere guy. He really was very skeptical as he went through the training with us, asking lots and lots of questions, like he said. But anyway, the point is that we're willing to answer all those questions. There's nothing that you can ask that we can't answer. So it depends on the person. Shirley asked that question about how long it takes to get a client. It all depends on whether you're following our steps as you should, and not trying to reinvent the wheel. And also how much time you can put into it, of course. There are a lot of our licensees who start this part-time, by the way. I would say probably at least 50% of them are starting part-time. And we can teach you how to do that outside of the normal 9-to-5 business hours. Believe it or not, there are ways to do that. I'm going to start another one here with another lady. Her name is Corey Craig. And I think some of you may have already actually watched an interview with her. This is a different interview that I did on a webinar like this that you haven't seen, so it's kind of new material. I think you'll find Corey to be very interesting to listen to because she has built a tremendous business and is just a great example of somebody who takes this thing and runs with it. I appreciate you taking time out. Looks like from what I saw earlier when we were talking one-on-one that you're working today out of your home office there.
I sure am.
So Corey, let's start with when you actually looked into the business. What were you doing at the time?
I was in the mortgage industry, and I was actually with a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation working in the secondary mortgage market, totally different than medical billing. And the division I was in was eliminated, and my concern was I didn't want to go to work for someone else because your job is never secure. You never know what's going to happen when you're working for someone else and you're dependent on them. I had expected to be with them forever.
Yeah.
And so I decided the only way to feel like I could sleep at night and feel good about the future was if I had control over my future. And I started looking into businesses that I could get into. And really it was kind of a process of elimination, going online and looking at what the various opportunities were. In this case, I kind of knew more what I didn't want rather than what I did. I didn't want a storefront with set hours. I didn't want to be tied to my desk for a certain number of hours every day. I didn't want something where it was a traditional franchise where I'd have to do everything exactly the way I'm told to do it. What I wanted was a business of my own that I could run my own way with support behind me. And that's really through eliminating a lot of things that didn't fit. You kind of rose to the top through that elimination process. You can make this whatever you want it to be, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to have a lot of I wanted to run my business my own way, and that's what I was able to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want our licensees to think of themselves as. It's your business. You can certainly do whatever you want to do. All we can do is just kind of give you some suggestions, provide you some tools and support and so forth, but you're in complete control of all the decisions that are made about the business itself.
Yeah, I think the thing though that was really important to me was the level of support because, being a small business, I only have so many hours a day, and having the support behind me so that I wasn't completely on my own, that allowed me to get the business up and running much faster than I would have if I had been completely on my own. So I had the flexibility that I wanted, but I had the support behind me to be able to actually, as soon as I got home from training, I started immediately bringing in business. I mean, it was just like I hit the ground running the next day and started going out there to find some accounts. And I couldn't have done it that quickly otherwise. So it was exactly what I was looking for.
Now, so you didn't have any background in the medical field at all?
None. No, my only background was that I was a patient and that I had insurance for my
Right.
family. So I knew what the concept of medical insurance was. I had no experience in the medical field, and my biggest concern was when I started the business. I wasn't in Utah. I was in a metropolitan area, and it was very relationship-driven town. Your reputation, who you know, who knows you, was very important. And I was really concerned that if you go out there and burn bridges, you never repair them. And I didn't want to go out and speak to medical offices and damage my reputation because I didn't know what I was talking about. Where the training, more than anything, taught me how to speak the language, which was huge. I think that first meeting I had with the doctor, my knees were probably knocking, but I don't think the doctor knew it because I was saying the right things, because I kind of knew what to expect before I went in there. And that was the preparation that I got going through that week of training.
Now, Corey, let's see. At first, of course, you were working with your son, TJ, who's shown in the picture here on the screen right now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Interested in
Yeah, we when we started the business, we were working together, and I primarily took on the marketing, and he took on, keeping the office running and making sure that, accounts were being handled and the day-to-day stuff. And we actually did that for a number of years. And then a few years ago, I had an opportunity to kind of change our life and move out of the city, move to a rural area, and take on a whole new lifestyle. And at that time, we did actually build the business to where we had, when we were in the city, we had a number of people working for us. We had lots and lots of accounts, and it was, pretty much what we had expected that we were setting out to do. All of a sudden, everything changed when I had an opportunity to do something that we hadn't really ever considered doing, and it was just too much to pass up. The good thing was I didn't have to give up the business. I was able to just scale it back to the level I wanted, and now I just pretty much keep the accounts that keep us comfortable financially and gives me a lot of freedom to do the other things I want to do.
Now, did you ever open an office, Corey? I forget.
I never wanted to. We had people working for us, but they were working remotely. Many of the people that worked for us were out of state. We didn't have people, really too many people local working for us, and it wasn't necessary because it's online. They can work from anywhere. And because of that, we could get people from, smaller communities, rural areas where honestly we didn't have to pay them as much because they weren't looking for as much money. They wanted to work from home and make a little bit of money to supplement the family income.
Yeah.
So it worked out real well to never open an office and not have the overhead and the costs. And also I didn't want to be tied down to that. I really always was looking for the flexibility. And so to me, and I know there are other licensees that have offices and have a lot of staff and have been doing huge businesses, but that's the nice thing about this. We can all do what we want to do and it fits our life. There are times where you do, it would be nice to have a conference room to meet people or an office to meet people. And if I were still in the city and doing a lot of marketing, I might have considered eventually doing that. As it turns out, I never really had anything come up where I needed to, which was just fine. So, and actually I have doctors that I'm doing work for that I never met in person because I'm not even in the same state they're in. And we deal over the phone, over the computer, and they're getting paid well, so they don't care. If they're getting paid well, which they are, they don't care what we do. And we're living outside of a town of 2,400 people. And my friends all thought we were out of our minds, that I'd hate it, that I'd be, bored to tears. And of course, exactly the opposite has happened. We moved here and ended up with friends immediately. You know how small towns can be so friendly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a beautiful, beautiful resort area up in the mountains. And I just thought, I hate to not be able to explore all those beautiful trails. And I had no experience on horseback at all. And a year ago, I ended up going out and buying my first horse. What I've done is I've got the accounts running pretty smoothly now. So what I'll do is I tend to be an early morning person. So I like to get up early in the morning. I check my accounts on my iPad while I'm watching the news and drinking my coffee. And I can get more work done before 6 a.m. than a lot of people get done all day. And I get my accounts all up to date. And then depending on what time the trainer and my friends want to ride, we have a covered arena. We can ride no matter what the weather is, or we'll take a trail ride if the weather's good. And I go and ride for 2 or 3 hours every day, and then I come back and I pick up my work. And the funny thing is, the people I rode with thought that I was retired and didn't work. And I said, yeah, I work, but I just do it when I want to. And of course, they're all kind of jealous of that. So
Yeah.
it's fit very well. And between the horses and getting out twice a day to feed the cows and chickens too, keeps me busy. My husband still has to commute to the city, so I end up taking care of the livestock during the week, and then I get a break on the weekends when he's free. Yeah, you have complete flexibility.
By the way, she mentioned her husband. I happen to know what he does for a living, and he makes a very good income. And so even though the business would support both of them, she said at this point, he just has no interest in this business, and what he does is a financial advisor type thing. And he just makes so much money and has so many benefits that he doesn't want to quit his regular job there. So
you have complete flexibility there. Make it what you want it to be so that you can have the life you want. And I don't know what else I could be doing that would give me the flexibility to be able to have fun the way I am too.
How long after your training did you secure your first client? This is Nadia. She says, did you know the doctor already?
No, I didn't. I chose, in my case, one of the things you learn in training is all the various ways you can market the business. Because, as good as this business is, if you don't have any accounts, what good does it do you? So you've got to go out and get those accounts. And I knew that was priority number one. I personally think that I'm terrible at sales, and if I had to go out and make cold calls every day, I would probably be the worst procrastinator in the world. Now, I know that there are licensees that go out and make cold calls and have wonderful success. That's their personality. It's not mine.
Right.
So instead, I knew after the training that the way for me to get business was through networking. And then I started the day I got home, that very first Monday, I went out to the Chamber of Commerce. I started not so much to push my business. I take a very low-key approach. I wanted to meet as many people as I could and find out how I could send business to them. And people, when you're trying to help them out and send business to them, it's just human nature that if they're decent people, they want to send business to you. And that's really the approach I take. I never sell. I never push. I'm a consultant. I want the doctor to come to me. I want someone else to recommend me rather than me recommend me. And honestly, that was 100% of my effort in the first month, was marketing through networking only. I went to every networking event I could get invited to. I met as many people as I could. And within 30 days, I had that first account. And it came through a networking contact that I made. Someone that I'd never met before met me at a luncheon, introduced me to the doctor. I ended up meeting with the doctor, I think 2 or 3 times that first time I met. And took us exactly 30 days. I started the 1st of the month, and the 31st of the month I had a signed agreement in my hand and a stack of billing that had been piled up in this doctor's office that no one had done. So It was like, jumping into deep water the first day. But with help from support at ABS, I ended up getting the claims all submitted, and they started getting paid. And then what I did, I'm a big believer, you do everything though. You don't just focus entirely on one type of marketing. And, I had such great marketing material from ABS that it was sitting on my shelf. And I thought, this is silly, it's collecting dust. And we did a mail out campaign, and we got business from that too. And some of those accounts I still have to this day. So it's worked out. I mean, it was a perfect fit. The networking plus the mail out campaign, very painless for me. Very low key, no selling, and I ended up getting multiple accounts that way. So, and then once you have accounts, they lead to others because they recommend you.
Are any of those clients, Corey, well, I started to say outside your city, but you're not really in a city now. So are they in different states?
Yeah, they're all in different states. And I have actually, for the first time right now here in Utah, I actually just opened an account right here, which is rare because I hadn't even marketed here. I wasn't even looking for business here. Yeah. All of my accounts are in other states.
Now that kind of relates to a question here from Robert. He says, how does the claim information from the doctor's office get to you, for sending all through the clearinghouse?
Oh, it's so easy. We have the iClaim system. It's web-based, and the doctor has access to it and they put in all the patient encounters in the electronic health records side of the system. And once they've put an encounter in there that they've seen the patient, what they did with them, what the diagnoses are, then they click on a button and it sends it over to the billing dashboard, and that comes through to me. And I'll go in and check that for my accounts, usually multiple times a day, because I like to really stay on top of things. I kind of take a lot of pride in, I've had so many complaints from doctors when they've come to me that their billing sits there forever. And so I take a lot of pride in being able to get billing submitted the same day I get it from them, and sometimes the same day they saw the patient, which I think is terrific because there's no downtime, no lag in them getting paid.
Okay, Sam, I was going to answer your question here, and sorry, we were running a little low on time, so I just paused the video and then I forgot to turn on my mic. But yes, he's asking, do licensees see a lot of turnover in their clients? Sam, the only turnover we see from licensees, at least the feedback we get, is if a doctor, dies or retires and they have not turned their practice over to another doctor. Of course, there's nothing there. But other than that, if you do the job that you can do through our system, you won't have any competition. Doctors do not change to another billing company once our licensees start doing the billing for them, because again, we have so many advantages. Again, if you haven't seen a live demo of our medical billing system, we will do that one-on-one with you. Just get back to your ABS rep and say, hey, I want to see that live demo. And you can ask all the questions about it that you want, of course, as you're seeing that. So here's some of the marketing materials we developed, folks. This is one of the advantages you have. In 26 years, we have figured out what works and what doesn't work. So you have full color flyers, postcards, and even books that you can put your name, have it printed right there on the front cover. I will show you our licensee support site. I think I mentioned this earlier. Let me log into that. You have to have a password and ID, of course, to get in. And once you do, you'll see something that looks like this. As you can see, this is just information that we've got out there for our licensees. It has been out there since, well, let me go back to the bottom here. You'll see the archives are way down here in October of 2014. Just about every day or so, we are posting stuff on this this news site here, the blog that's on our website. We also have all sorts of stuff here, folks, under all of these menus here. As you can see, there is a ton of material that have been put out here over the past 10 or 12 years since we set this up. And it's documents, it's live webinars that we've recorded for our licensees and put on here. There's probably over 50 or 60 hours of training right here on this site that you'll have access to once you've gone through our initial virtual training sessions that I told you about earlier. Okay, so there's tools and resources and just a ton of stuff out here. Don't have time to go through all that on this webinar, of course, but there's a lot out there. One of the things I wanted to show you was our guarantee. Now, folks, in any, well, franchise, I use the term franchise even though we're not one, but anything that's set up like we are as a business opportunity licensing situation, nobody that I know of in this industry offers any kind of guarantee. Once you've paid their fee, they assume that you've done your due diligence, that you've made the right decision, and there's no going back. There's no getting a refund of your franchise fee. However, with us, it's different. A few years ago, I said to our staff, look, if we have what we think we have, we want people to be successful. If they go through our training and they don't think it's right for them, let's just give them their money back and tell them to go have a good life and, you know, find something else that is good for them. And in the 26 years that we've been in business, folks, we've only had a handful of people that have asked for a refund, but that's in writing, in our agreement. Ask your ABS rep for that agreement. And in fact, there's several steps here that you can take. Let me just start with that first one there. Look over our downloadable research guide. Now, I turned off my webcam here for some reason, and I think I have that here to show you. Let me show you. I have one printed out. And I did this just because I wanted to show you live. In fact, if I stop my showing the slides, I think you'll be able to see this real close up here. As you can see, it's about 50 pages of information, And folks, it has got a lot of information that you will never find on our website. This is for people who are serious, so you have to ask for this. It's, of course, in a PDF version of it that we'll send to you. Just get back with your ABS rep and ask for that. So let me get back to those steps. The second step is browse our YouTube channel. There it is right there. You see it, youtube.com. Then just put a /WhyABS. Write that down. Go to YouTube, put a /WhyABS, and you'll see dozens and dozens of videos, pre-recorded webinars that we've done, of course, in the past. And of course, many of those interviews, you'll be able to see the full interview with the people that you saw today. Next, ask our ABS rep for a demo of the of the owner's reference list is next. So folks, we have a whole list of people that you can call that have been through our training. They are their own business owners. So some of them, we'll get back with you. Some of them are busy. It may take a day or two, but you'll find a lot of people will be willing to talk to you. We rotate people through that list on a regular basis so they don't get too many calls. And ask for a live demo of our iClaim system. If you haven't seen that demo, folks, you are missing out, because we go into detail in that demo exactly what you need to see about a cloud-based system versus anyone else out there that's doing something similar or that has a software system that's server-based. There's a huge difference. Don't ever invest in a company that has just a server-based software. And here's how you can know for sure if they have server-based or cloud-based. Just ask them, do you send me any DVDs or CDs that have software on them? When I get your package, will I get CDs or DVDs? If so, that's a server-based software. Okay, and then last but not least, be sure and get back with your ABS rep. There's our email address and phone number. You can call them and set up your live training. Remember, those training sessions are one-on-one. They're, as our instructors are available. We have instructors that can teach these classes, but as people get booked up on these, sometimes we just don't have slots that are open. Right now, we happen to have slots that are open in the next 48 hours, for example. You can get your first session in probably. So you have to get your due diligence done to get into the training and then get back with your ABS rep. Here